Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Master Builder Show, sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. I am your host, Jim Gibson, president of Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, a registered builder in the state of Texas and a graduate master builder certified by the National Association of Home Builders. Today's topic is going to be interest rates, mortgages, credit service scores, and anything doing with financing your home. My guest today is Jennifer Lopez with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group, I guess. Is that what?
Yep.
All right. Did I get it right?
First National Bank Mortgage.
All right. And my wife, Jean Gibson, Vice President of Gibson Home Builders. We'd like to answer any questions you may have on pertaining to building, remodeling, maintaining, or financing your home. So please give us a call if you've got any questions during this show at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. All right, Jean, you wanted something?
I get my time.
Okay.
Last week I mentioned our project, Casa for Casa fundraiser. Don't run a time clock on me. CASA is the court-appointed special advocate program of Parker County. It's a 501c3 not-for-profit organization that uses all volunteers in the field as advocates for children who have been abused and neglected and removed from their homes for the Department of Protected Services for the Children.
Talking to you, Mike.
He's going to fuss at me. And we're going to do a fundraiser for them this year again. Last year we built the Gnome Home, and other builders built playhouses. The plan was everybody's to build playhouses. And this year we have 7 different builders building playhouses for children. They're going to be at the Super Save grocery store parking lot. And what we are asking the public to do, or anybody that would like to help, is to call either me or Julie Laughlin from Laughlin Home Builders to offer support and sponsorship to help the builders out with these fundraisings. Because to build these houses, that runs, what did we spend, $3,000? Everybody spent roughly in that range.
Right.
And the plan is for the public, other builders, other businesses to help out and add their sponsorship and support to the whole project. And if you would like to sponsor by donations of cash or by materials, you can call me at 817-269-0038 or Julie Laughlin, 817-233-6070. That's her mobile. And contact us and talk about being sponsors by donating one or the other for the support for CASA, because that's all coming up this spring. And the other thing is, speaking of spring,
all right.
I just noticed daffodils are blooming already, and I have spring fever. And I was coming in this morning, somebody's got an iris blooming in their front yard. So the gardens are just as confused as I am.
All right, everybody out there, if you're thinking about building a home, remodeling,
yeah, it's that time of year, isn't it?
It's that time of year.
Yeah. And
if you need to check out a builder or a remodeler or anybody in the construction business that is a registered builder, and if you're remodeling, doing more than $10,000 worth of work on a house, you've got to be registered with the TRCC, which is the Texas Residential Construction Commission. And you can go to my website, www.masterbuildershow.com, and it takes you to my homepage, and I've got a link there that you can click on. It'll take you into the TRCC website, and there you can check out builder by name or his builder number and all that. And if he's not registered, don't use him. All right, let's get on with our subject here. We're going to be talking about interest rates and stuff. Jennifer.
Yes.
It's up to you.
Good morning. Oh, isn't that a hard way to do
exactly.
that? Yeah. Okay, speak, girl, speak. And we're going to talk about mortgage rates.
Yes.
And can we talk first about what all the evening news is about how terrible the housing market is?
Absolutely. One of the things that you're hearing on the news is that the industry right now is in the tank and the values are depreciating. But one of the things that we need to clear up right here in Parker County, in our area, especially even in Texas, we are not seeing what you're hearing on the news. That is nationwide. So what you're hearing on the news is not pertaining to our area. We are still seeing people building houses, buying houses. Yep. And I think it scared some people away, thinking, it's not time to buy. But I tell you, it is here in this area. It's time to buy, to build, refinance. Interest rates are low. So if you're thinking about doing it, it is absolutely the time to do it. Our houses are still appreciating. You know, the builders are still building, the realtors are still selling, and we are not being affected by what you're hearing on the news. But just keep in mind that is nationwide and not something to hear.
Right, and that's really not what's promoted at all. It's this, doom, gloom, and despair. It's an election year that may pull us out. We go through a midwinter, November, January, lousy weather slump. The real estate market slows down naturally during that period.
Right.
Because people are involved in the holidays. But we're also finding that the gas wells are one of the things that has really infused the market here in North Texas. It's not small change. That's millions and millions flooding into our economy. Job market's good. So we're very insulated. And you were mentioning somebody coming in here from California.
Yes.
And that's one of many that I've heard about.
He was mentioning that he was moving here from California, and what he said to me was, what you're hearing on the news in California, in Florida, he said, but he was in California. He goes, it is that bad. He said, that's why we're moving to Texas. He goes, I'm hearing that it's not that bad there. I said, absolutely, it's not that bad here. It's houses are still appreciating, and people are still building and still buying. The growth here is phenomenal, and so he was excited, but he was very disturbed by what was going on in California where he was at. But he was ready to get out and move here.
And that's one of many. One of many coming from California, because I told you about that friend of mine who has seen in a year and a half ago, they sold their place in California, moved to Texas. Their place is back on the market out in California for $500,000 less than they sold for a year and a half ago. And so that market is what's beating it up. Also, what I see on the news about the builders who are losing money, those are national builders.
Correct.
They put out huge, huge numbers of houses across the country in their developments. So they're impacted. Local registered day-to-day smaller guy builders that are here in the area don't have that kind of inventory to beat them up.
Exactly.
So we'd have to get mortgages too when we're building. And we have to pay all those notes. So it would scare me to death to have 500, 1,000, or even more houses on the ground.
A lot of them are building about 5,000 or 6,000 a month. Can you imagine that?
5,000 or 6,000 houses a month?
A month, yes.
See, that would terrorize me.
And interest rates right now are on 30-year fixed or below 6%.
Right. They're still very low.
15-year fix is even lower than that. And if you can qualify for a 15-year note, like the information I've got here, like on February 14th, the last day I pulled up, 15-year fix was 5.25%.
Exactly.
Well, define that, too, for me, because we're just average folks. What's a perfect score, a perfect credit score?
What we're looking for perfect score is 680 or above. Of course, they go all the way up to 800. We'll start anywhere from 620 and above. We have loans for borrowers less than 620, but, absolutely, somebody walks in with a 680, no problem getting them. That's an easy loan.
And that rate that we hear on the news, that mortgage rates are down to next to nothing, I consider that dirt cheap at 5 and 6%. That's the guy with the 800, right?
Nope. That's the guy with the
680.
So the average person can get this kind of rate?
Absolutely.
That's nothing I ever understood. I always figured you ended up with a lot higher rate, with an average rate.
Looks like we've got to take a break here. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Zion Hill Estates, 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford. Grocery stores, hospitals, banks, and department stores. In the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums give you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. Jim Gibson will build you the home of your dreams in Zion Hill Estates. North of the square to 920, left to Zion Hill Road, then 2.4 miles to Zion Hill Estates. Jim Gibson would like to show you the land in his energy-efficient model home. You can call Jim at 682-429-2116. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Gibson. I am your host. This is the Master Builder Show. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jennifer Lopez with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group, and my wife, Jean Gibson. We're talking about financing your home and interest rates. All right, we were talking, I guess, during the break about the 417, and explain that.
The $417,000 is the conforming loan limit, meaning you can finance up to $417,000 at the rates that are below 6% right now with a decent credit score. Anything above that is considered a jumbo, which means you go into a different category with a higher interest rate. One of the things I want to touch on is some people may have heard throughout the industry that they are talking about raising that loan limit. But what we have right now, the information we have is they're going to raise that for California, Florida, some of the higher cost areas that are having some trouble right now. But in our area, they're still debating it. But right now, they're not going to raise that loan amount. So,
yeah, go ahead.
How hard is it to get a loan? If we were talking during the break, if my credit score was 720, I get a certain rate. But if it drops below 600, then you can still get a loan, but your rate is going to be 2 or 3% higher usually.
It will be. They will have what they call a hit, which means they're going to raise the rate if your score is below the 620. That's the key right there, the cutoff for conventional. There is loans for people below 620, but they're FHA, which you're limited to $200,000.
Okay.
On that.
Oh, I didn't realize all that.
And they are talking about raising that, but that is still up to like $271,000 for an FHA loan, which is geared more towards your first time home buyers.
Right.
With maybe a little bit.
Isn't that an awful amount to start out with?
Yeah.
Well, at $2 or $3.50 a gallon for gas is too. It's kind of hard to live with too. And I went down and bought milk the other day, and we were paying $4.50, $5 a gallon for milk.
Oh.
And that, it's outrageous, but everything else has gone up because of diesel prices and, just a natural, I guess, way with things. How many different types of loans are there? I mean, you got the FHA, conventional,
and VA.
And VA. And that's just
and Jim's an approved VA builder.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was just handy. But clarify for me, if you're saying these limits, my blueprints were appraised at $500,000, and I want an FHA mortgage.
Not going to happen.
$200,000 is the max. $160 is the max for FHA right now.
So it's going to have to go into another category,
which would be conventional.
And you've got a $417,000 limit on conventional for a prime rate.
Yes,
but my appraisal's $500, so
you're okay. It's how much you borrow. It's how much your loan amount is.
So if I want to build this house, I've got to come up with the money for the difference between the $417 and the $500, or can you do a $500,000 note and you just
You can do it two ways. Absolutely, we can do. We can finance a lot more than 417. But what you could do is two things. You can either have a jumbo, which will go up to $2 million. I mean, however, they have loans with actually no limit, depending on how much you need in the appraisal. Or a lot of times, what we do is we do a first lien for $417,000.
Good.
And a second lien.
For the
remainder.
difference.
To keep you with a lower interest rate and no mortgage insurance. So there's different ways to structure that.
So
you get very creative and work with people.
You could get both of those at below the 6%.
You can get your first lien on that two loans. You can get the first lien below 6%. The second lien will not be.
Okay, it'll be bumped up.
They're usually
whatever.
running in around the 7 range, depending on that. All depends on the credit score too.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah,
but it's really very confusing and intimidating. The process of building your own home is what? First is you get your credit pre-approved.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That is step one.
Yeah, you need to know exactly how much you can spend. I've had too many people come to me with dreams of fantasy that come out and they'll have a house design. It'll be $500,000, $600,000, $1 million, and they can only qualify for half of that.
Yeah.
And then they've already spent the money on the plan. So really, you need to have some type of concept as to size and what you're putting in a home, and before you actually go out there and spend $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it costs to get your plans drawn up, get some kind of realistic concept of how much you can afford and how much you can qualify for. So the best thing you do would be go down and get qualified for your max, and then design your house from that.
And how do you pre-qualify?
It's very easy. It's a name, social address, and how much money they make. It's that simple. That's the starting point. We check their credit. We ask them how much money they make, take a loan app on them very quickly, and put the numbers together.
How can they reach you?
They can reach me at 817-596-9800.
Well, where are you officed?
I office at 200 Palo Pinto, right off the square next to First National Bank.
Oh, okay. And the little
same building with CASA and.
Yeah, oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So people can contact you there or call you to make an appointment to sit down. They have to bring any proof of income or anything when they pre-qualify?
Easiest thing is to bring in pay stubs and W-2s, a current pay stub and 2 years W-2s, and we'll take it from there.
That's easy.
And we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer JennAir, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back. This is the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jennifer Lopez with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group, and my wife, Jean Gibson, with Gibson Home Builders.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about interest rates today and financing your home. And during the break, we were talking again about qualifying. Jennifer, we were talking about qualifying for a loan. Now, you go down and you said all you need to do is give your name, your social security number, and bring in some pay stubs.
Yes.
Pretty well, that's about it, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's where we start.
All right.
And once we look at your income and credit, then we determine what kind of loan you can get, how much you can qualify for, and what we need to do next. Send you with approval letter and send you on down the road to go build your house.
What's the timeline? How long does it take to be pre-qualified?
Same day. It's very quickly.
Oh, wow.
It's a
Wow.
very quick process.
But that is not, in fact, a guarantee of a mortgage, though, is it?
It's not a guarantee until we get all of the documentation, but it will give us a pretty good idea.
Get you close.
Absolutely.
And they can take that money and spend it any way they want to on a residential, on a house, existing house, or have a new one built.
They can. If you're pre-approved for an existing home for $200,000, you can also build a brand new house for $200,000 and pick out what you want.
Yeah.
I think some people are sometimes misled about what they can do as far as they think they're just approved for a certain house. But a pre-approval is good for any house, whether you build, buy, or whichever.
And how long is it good for? You pre-approve me, I can come back in 6 months or a year?
Our pre-approvals are good for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
6 months
That gives you plenty of time to make decisions. Mm-hmm. So that's step one.
It is. We pull a new credit report every 90 days.
Okay.
Unless you're building a house, and that's good for 6 months. But we give a commitment for 6 months.
Where do you get your credit scores from? I mean, there's agencies, and normally there's 3.
We use a third-party credit reporting agency that will pull from all 3 credit bureaus. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we take the middle credit score, and that's the credit score we get to use out of the 3.
So you don't average them together or anything like that?
Just the middle one.
Just the middle one.
But that's excellent. Well, the other thing that we heard a lot of hype about, how many years ago? The one-time close. So that if you were building a house, you didn't have to go through the interim, and which was
we still got to go through the interim.
No, with the one-time close,
you still do.
The premise was that you were saving money, and what I had heard is that the one-time close has gone away.
For the most part, there are some people out there that still have it. My preference, just for the buyer and for the builder, is to use someone local and do the 2-time close, because they tend to change their mind, add things to the house. And
that's the problem we had when they did a one-time close. Is that we would get in there, and then I'd give them a certain budget on all their fixtures and appliances and whatever, and they'd go in, and instead of wanting the like go down and buy the Kenmores or whatever, they'd go in and buy the Sub-Zeros, refrigerator and stuff, and all of a sudden you get $5,000 in a refrigerator and or whatever, and they're asking for more money, and they're already qualified and locked in at one particular, and they couldn't raise it.
Exactly.
And then what happens?
Well, they have to come up with the money.
Yes.
Well.
Whereas if you do the interim construction, you can talk to the bank about raising your mechanics lien and getting some more money. But the other thing too is the actual process is here local, and it's much easier for the builder, for the buyer to do the inspections, and get their money quicker, and get the house built quicker.
Well, yeah, you get to talk to a person, instead of a recording. When they're looking at your credit, do you have any idea as to what they're actually looking at? I mean, as far as how it breaks down? It
breaks down. There are so many different factors. They look at how often your credit's been pulled in the last 90 days.
And what difference does it make? If I'm shopping for a mortgage, it's going to get pulled.
It is going to get pulled. But what they look at is how many times people pull it. If you pull it for a mortgage, the rule of thumb is supposed to be, or let's say you're shopping for a car. Of course, you go to a car dealership, and they shop it around to their lenders same day. Right. It gets pulled quite a bit. The rule of thumb is if it gets pulled within 14 days by the same type of creditor for a car loan, it should only ding your credit once. because the way that the credit companies are coded when they pull the credit report. Same way as a mortgage, doesn't always happen that way. But every time that credit is pulled, it will lower your credit score. How much varies, it depends.
But that's one I've never understood, because it is just pulling the report. It's not getting a loan. It's not buying the Rolls Royce. It is just pulling the report.
But that is just one of the many factors that they look at, because somebody's out shopping, getting their credit pulled. Yeah. The other thing that they look at has absolutely nothing to do with how much money you make. That doesn't even play in a factor into your credit score. But they look at how much you owe, what's your highest, how close you are to your highest balance, to your credit limit.
On your credit card?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You could have one credit card charged to the max versus having 2 or 3 that are just halfway. You're better off having them halfway charged up and having 3 of them than you are having one charged to the max, because that's going to hurt your credit score.
Do they look at how many credit cards you have? I mean,
they look at total,
really if you got
how much ability you have to borrow, the high limits versus how much you owe, not necessarily the number.
Yeah.
And of course your pay history
Okay.
and how long they've been open.
Because I've got some left over from when I was a teenager, and the trend. One of the things that I've done is getting all these credit card things in the mail. Is I've shopped them and I've rolled for a better rate. That would bite me.
It could, yes, absolutely. If you're doing it too much.
The paperwork I've got here shows your payment history is about 35% of the FICO score, and how much
of the what score?
It's FICO. Jennifer, do you know what's FICO?
Fair Isaac.
Fair
is what
Isaac.
that's the Fair Isaac.
Fair Isaac.
It's just the formula that they use to calculate the credit score.
Yeah, it's Fair Isaac Corporation, and they're the ones that keep track of all. They keep track, I guess, of all 3 agencies. And your FICO score comes out. It's 35% on your payment history. How much you owe is 30%. Length of your credit history is about 15%. New credit about 10%, and other factors weigh in at about 10%, and that's pretty well the way it divides out. If I was, I tell most of my people when we start out, go down and get pre-approved, and then, like I said, get some kind of knowledge of how much money you're going to have to spend before you even start, and then go down and design a house that fits your budget.
And that's got to be close to impossible, designing a house that fits your budget.
Well,
fits
what you qualify for anyway.
I appreciate that, but we've been new home builders. So I'm very aware of the amount of uncertainty. And it would be so nice, and is very nice, to be able to find these pockets of people like yourself that are great guidance. I find mortgage rates and mortgage industry and credit reports confusing. And in fact, today was the first time I realized that these rates that I thought for perfect scores would still be workable for less than perfect. Absolutely. What's an average credit score, though? What's the average guy who's just working and paying his bills and going and...
Between 620 and 700
is what the average American has. And so with those scores, that average American's going to get these good rates.
But you're telling me that if my score was 680 and you've got some guy who rocks in here at 800, he's going to get the same rate as I do. That is, I thought if you had a perfect credit score, then your rate would drop.
You get these perfect rates.
Here, unfortunately, it's not tiered in the higher end, but the lower it goes, the high, the more they're gonna punish you for it. They're gonna start hitting you in the rate.
Yeah, the people that can't afford it have to pay more.
Exactly.
And that has always been the way, and just tragic, truthfully. With the mortgage slump, it was the low-end guy, right? And the ones that did these get in low arms, a variable interest rate.
They did. It was a higher rate. For a low credit score, you got a higher rate, but you could get into a house, but the rate was only fixed for 2 years. So what we're hoping is, right now, rates are really low. These people that have been in their house for 2 years and had that type of mortgage that was fixed for 2 or 3 years has taken that time, cleaned up their credit, kept paying everything on time. So now we can refinance them with interest rates.
All right, but I haven't kept anything different. And I'm the average guy who's got this 2-year mortgage. I haven't changed anything, but I've been living in the house making my mortgage payments for 2 years. Can you flip me to a 30-year fixed?
All depending on what the credit score is.
But I got, and so many of these people got in when the mortgage people were saying, I don't care what your credit is, we'll get you in a house.
Exactly.
What does it cost you to refinance? I mean,
it's going to run you, depending on the amount of the mortgage, but the closing cost is going to run you about $3,000. Plus, you've got to set up a new escrow account.
Is it a certain percentage of their loan? Is it?
No, not really. Certain fees are based off a percentage of the loan, but most of them are pretty standard. They're going to average about $3,000 to refinance, and you can roll those back in, so it doesn't cost you anything. And
I was going to ask you that. Does that mean I have to come up with cash?
Not necessarily. It will all depend on the appraised value.
How much of a percentage rate to drop before you need to consider refinancing?
So many factors in that, depending on how long you're going to stay in the house.
Okay.
My rule of thumb is 1.5 to 2% if you're going to stay in the house.
Yeah.
If you're not going to stay, very long, we just have to weigh out what it costs, how much you're saving per month, and are you going to be there that long?
Well, I was looking at the mortgage rates, and they change every week.
They change every day.
They change every day.
Sometimes several times a day.
Wow.
So do you feel
depending on what time of day you go in there is what rate you get?
Well, do you monitor those rates for clients?
Absolutely.
So I'm coming to you. I want a mortgage. We're pre-approved. I want you to get me the best rate within. Would you give them a time limit that you monitor it before you lock them in?
I actually put it onto the consumer because there are so many people doing that, and say, you know what, you can call me every day if you need to.
Okay.
And when you're comfortable with the rate, and depending on what the market's doing, we'll lock you in. But you just take the risk that you have to be comfortable with that rate, because if rates continue to go down, if they go down, you're not going to get the lower rate. But also, if you're comfortable with that rate, you're taking the risk you're taking the risk off the table. It's not going to go up.
All right, but you just locked me in at a 5%, and the rates have gone up to 7% today. Am I going to be penalized?
No, you're locked in.
So
you're locked in for a time frame. So as long as you can close within that time frame, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 45 days, that's your interest rate.
Outstanding.
What I was told is if you're sitting there watching the rates and all this other stuff, just like I was looking at this printout I've got here, January 24th, the 30-year fix was down to 5.48. Well, February 14th, it's 5.72. So if you're waiting to get the lowest rate and you think it's going to drop more, what I was told is 1.5%, go ahead and lock in and go ahead and refinance it at that rate. And if it does drop another 1.5% or so, go ahead and refinance. How long do I have to wait once I've refinanced before I can refinance again?
You don't.
That's what I thought. I mean, there's no waiting period. So lock in, and then if it does drop again, go ahead and refinance again.
But you're incurring that $3,000 fee that's rolling in. So you're adding that to your mortgage, even though you're not shelling out the cash. So you have to determine benefit and loss.
Well, 1.5%, though, over a 30-year period is a great deal of money.
If you're going to stay in the house.
If you're going to stay there, and like I said, if you locked it in at like 5.5 and it dropped down to 4.5, it might be wise to go ahead and pay the $3,000, jump in there, and wouldn't you think so?
I have people that will call me and ask the interest rate, and they come out about 10:30 every morning. 10:30 or 11, we know what our rates are for the day. That could change 2 or 3 times in the day. Is it going to change drastically? Probably not. But it could change 1/4% or 1/8% in interest rate. So right now in today's market, that's what's happening. We are, up or down. We've seen it.
Right.
It's been gradually going back up. But I had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago to call some customers that I had that were I knew they needed to refinance, and I had to call them. I love that feeling. Get to call them and say, hey.
Yeah, time.
It's time, and that's a great feeling to have. And they're like, oh, okay.
And the other thing I heard too is the Fed's talking, because this is a national picture, that the Fed's talking about another interest rate drop.
Right.
And so those of us here in Texas who are not under the gun are going to reap the benefit.
Well, that's prime rate, though.
Right. That's a short-term
but that's
rate.
how you get your money.
No,
ours are long-term rates. So if prime cuts the interest rate, those are short-term rates. Eventually what will happen is our rates will probably go up. But with everything going on right now, our rates have been going down. So we've been getting to benefit it right now. So
yeah, because I thought that too. If prime rate dropped, they would drop, but no, it's not. It's not.
Right.
It's not nowhere near that.
Oh, okay.
It's
It's actually
misunderstood.
opposite.
your car loans, your bank loans, the short-term loans,
What determines the interest rate on mortgages?
the 10-year T-bill.
The T-bill. So whatever the T-bill is going for
Right.
at that particular time, and it may change 4 or 5 times in one day. Okay. Gene?
Oh, pass the ball.
Well, you always have something to say, so I think.
No, I have to think once in a while. It doesn't happen often.
If you have any questions for Jennifer or I or me or Gene,
Yeah, thank you.
however many people there are here, you can call us at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. And we will answer any questions you have on financing. And Jennifer seems to be the expert in the area, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
And tell me how you would handle the mortgage on a remodel.
Very easy. They come see me with an idea of how much they want to spend. You know, a lot of times they may not know exact cost, but they have an idea of what it's going to cost to remodel. They'll come see me and I'll look at what they currently owe, plus the cost to remodel and get them pre-approved, just like we would if they were building a house.
You look at equity.
Do look at equity.
So it has to be, how's the equity play into this?
As long as they have 5% equity, and we do it based off of the house with the improvements.
5%.
That's low, but
Whoa,
we
yeah.
did a show on remodeling here not too long ago, and the thing is you got to watch, and you can't spend more than your comparables,
Right.
because if your comparables come up, and you want to put $100,000 in your house, and all your houses in the area are worth $100,000,
Yeah,
you're going to have a $200,000.
We're going down that
house.
road now.
Then you can't get the financing, correct?
Right. Correct.
If you're paying cash, it doesn't matter what you do to your
Right.
house.
Well,
So-
but it's not economically feasible for you to spend more money than it's going to resell for, unless you just plan to.
if you're
going to
stay
your
there,
life,
right?
and you
You may. Well, I just don't want the impression that that the comparables are at $200,000, and you're going to stay in your house and you want to make it a $300,000. You can certainly do that. There's no limit on what you can do if you're paying cash.
Correct.
All we're talking about are the people that don't have the cash
Right.
to go ahead and do these things. The other thing on the remodel show was building brand new is cheaper than a remodel.
Well, it always has been, because you don't have to make all the corrections. You don't have the disposal of all the stuff you're tearing out on a remodel, and so remodeling usually costs 2 to 2.5 times, up to 3 times more than building new, because of all the things that you run into. You might tear out a wall and you may have to replace all the wiring. Or I was at a house yesterday that all the piping in the house, all the drain pipes were cast iron. They were wanting to change everything out. So it looks like we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Zion Hill Estates, 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, and department stores. In the Peaster School District, 1 acre lot minimums give you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. Jim Gibson will build you the home of your dreams in Zion Hill Estates. North of the square to 920, left to Zion Hill Road, then 2.4 miles to Zion Hill Estates. Jim Gibson would like to show you the land in his energy-efficient model home. you can call Jim at 682-429-2116. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I'm your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford, and my guest today is Jennifer Lopez with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group, and Jean Gibson, my wife. Anyway.
He loves the way he says that. Yes. My wife. She's here, and she's going to talk to me.
All right, Jennifer, before the break, we were talking about interest rates and how to get loans and all this stuff, and we were talking about remodeling and getting remodeling loan. What percentage of money can you borrow to remodel? Like you said, as long as they've got 5% equity in their house.
Yes.
And they're going to do an X dollar improvement.
What we're going to do is we're going to look at how much they owe on their house, how much the improvements are, and we're going to do an appraisal based off of the house being completed with the improvements to determine how much equity we have in the house. That's the first step, is figuring out, with the improvements, will the house hold the value? Will we still have enough equity? Make sure they're not over-improving like we were talking about for the area.
But they have to have 5% equity prior to the remodel.
No. We'll do just like a proposed construction. We'll do an appraisal with the improvements in there.
So I bought a new house yesterday, and I'm going to do 5%. I'm going to up it, the value 5%, and I can get the money just by doing that.
As long as there's 5% equity in the house with the improvements.
Oh, wow.
That's very encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a restriction on the things that you can use for remodel improvements? Can I put in a jacuzzi? Can I put in a swimming pool or a tennis court?
There's not. One thing you have to look at, though, is how much of the improvements is going to help your value. Because a lot of things like a jacuzzi and even a pool doesn't give you as much value. It's not dollar for dollar on value.
Oh,
you got to add square footage.
Exactly.
Is that really the only way?
And you could add the square footage and put a jacuzzi in it, as long as the square footage.
Yeah, but not just that one item.
No.
And it has to be conditioned space for
value.
For value.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for appraised value. I mean, I can go out here and add a 18-car garage onto it, and they're going to give me X amount of dollars, but the dollars that you got for it are not going to pay for the construction.
And if I put insulation, closed cell foam in the attic, where do we go with that one? Because that's a tough one on the appraisers.
It is tough. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure that's going to give you the value. Because square foot, like he said, square footage is what gives you the value.
No, right.
But it's going to improve the house, the overall structure. It's going to reduce the utility bills. So that's the real hard sell with the appraisers.
Well, the problem is there's no set value on that right now. Yeah. What they say is every person operates different. I mean, one guy, he may be afraid of the dark, so he keeps all the lights on all the way around the house every day and at night, and he's got closed cell foam in his attic. And the other guy that he just got the cheapest installation and all this other stuff, keeps his thermostat set at 80 in the summertime, and he doesn't turn any lights on. The lights he's got on are 15-watt bulbs, and his electric bill is lower than the guy with closed cell foam. So there's no actual value that you can put on as far as appraised value. You can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't feel it. And if you can't touch it, see it, or feel it, it has no appraised value. And that's a problem. But I mean, you could go up and touch the foam in the attic, but if it was in the walls, you couldn't see it unless you tore the wall out. So really, you take somebody's word, well, yeah, it's there. Now, if you've got, they do have Energy Star financing and energy type mortgage. Can't you get some type of energy efficient mortgage?
On VA.
On VA, just on VA. Okay, that's the one that the VA loans, they'll give you 5% of the appraised value to do the improvements up to and only up to $8,000. So yeah, a bunch of my insulation packages and stuff on the phone stuff, you're going to spend $8,000 to $12,000 on
that's,
any size house
and
at all.
I believe FHA as well, but those two loans. But on the conventional, you're not.
Okay, they don't pay for anything as far as energy efficiency. See, the government is pushing us, everybody, to build green, and we're pushing. We're trying to sell everything green, and not necessarily. Now, green is relatively a new term coined by the U.S. Green Building Council, and before then was Energy Star and all of your.
And before that, it was Rachel Carson in the Silent Spring. And so this is not a new concept, but now that the government has latched on to the concept, we're hoping that they'll support it by endorsing, allowing to be considered for finance, the energy-efficient components, recycled materials.
Right.
They're coming up with all sorts of certifications now, and you can get their certifications by different groups, and they're all third-party verified. So if like on Energy Star, if you're going in and buying a VA home, you can get it Energy Star certified. But it can be built Energy Star certified, but unless the person goes in and pays for the third party to come in there and do all the inspections that are necessary.
Which costs how much?
Well, $500, $800 or so, and then come out and do the blower door test and give you all whether your ducts are leaking and all. I mean, it's a good idea to do on any house that you buy. I mean, really, if you can come out and pay these people to come out and inspect the home and just see how energy efficient it is and test your duct work and see if it's leaking, you'd be better off even if it wasn't built energy efficiently. You'd at least know where you stand and what repairs you'd have to make. But that, like I said, that's the primary problem is there's no resale value placed on energy efficient items. Even though everybody's going green now, everybody's pushing green, and it'd be fabulous if everybody could go green, but everybody can't afford it. Green costs money. And so what we're trying to do now is to get you to do or to build as energy efficient as possible. And the green portion of it actually comes in where you buy all your materials within a 500-mile radius. All your lumber has to be certified by the certification company that certifies it's actually they're growing it for a crop and not actually going out and cutting hardwoods out of the redwoods and stuff out of the forest.
That was one of the things that came up last week was the home and garden show in Dallas. And they I listened to some of it on the radio. They were using bamboo, a renewable crop, for countertops in the non-heat, non-wet areas. You still have work areas. Really? And they're using bamboo because we've seen it in flooring. And they were talking about bamboo for countertops. The other thing, I digress on him all the time. The other thing was a cooktop that only gets hot when the pot's on it. You have to have the contact and the interaction, and you lift the pot off and it's cool.
I actually have had one of those.
You have?
I've had a cooktop like that.
Yes. And
I loved it, especially with little kids.
What's it called?
I don't know what it's called, but because I loved it with the kids, with little kids, because they couldn't. Yeah. If they'd go to touch it,
they said that it was slightly warm, but not enough, certainly to
burn.
And I thought that's fabulous.
If you had it on and you took the pot off, it'd start beeping to remind you that you left it on, but it would cool off. You had to put the pot back on, and then it would engage and get hot again.
Wow. I'd never heard of that. How long ago did you have one?
Just a couple of years ago. Yeah.
We are so out of date.
When you bring this stuff up on the air, you're supposed to have the answers.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
No. I don't have the answer. I am trying to line up
Looks like we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer JennAir, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's sponsor is First National Bank of Weatherford, and my guest today is Jennifer Lopez with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group, and my wife, Jean Gibson. And we were talking about, I said it better that time. Well, you got on to me last time. Anyway, you were talking about realtors, and I forgot what.
Yeah, we were talking in the break earlier, and one of the things that it just made me realize that we really need to hit home and realize, for people to realize that a realtor brought up at a luncheon one day about, how do we were talking about the media source and how do we get out to people in our area that what they're hearing on the news is about, a house's values going down and the market being bad, that it's not in our area. And that's just the one thing that if you take from the show from me today is realize that here in Parker County, the houses are still appreciating. It's still a good time to buy, to build, and even refinance. I mean, if you're thinking about it, interest rates are low. Now is the time.
And get out of an apartment.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, start building equity, at least.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, even if you're buying a townhome or buying...
if you lived in downtown L.A., I wouldn't say the same thing. But here in North Texas, I have encouraged my children to do that too. Always buy, don't rent. Get out of those apartments. And what about mobile homes? There's a lot of them around here. Mm-hmm. They depreciate because they're
mobile.
Mm-hmm. So this might be a good time to get out of that mobile. It's not a wise buy-in.
No, because they deteriorate so fast. And
do you do mortgages on mobiles?
We do. We do have some investors that we can do them through, where it's very limited. People have started backing out of doing the mobiles, who we can sell our mortgages to. So, but we do have an outlet for it.
And what about just buying land?
Yes, the bank will do the land.
Land always appreciates. I mean,
just a slower rate eventually.
Eventually, but there's not any more being made. So, I mean, everything that you've got is here.
Yeah. I'm just really pleased, and I agree so heartily with Jennifer about the market here is so strong. It is doing well. And the rates haven't, the cost of the houses, the prices on the land haven't dropped off. They're still getting their money for them here in North Texas. Mm-hmm. So that just means when the national market rebounds, this being an election year, expect things to come back up. It's going to be, even the things here will just continue to climb. So this is the perfect time to get in.
Well, the problem is prices of construction keeps going up. So the market needs to really follow to price materials and stuff.
Right.
And because the builders still have to make a profit. And if everything goes up because of the price of diesel. Mm-hmm. And everything's trucked in or trained in or flown in, and everything hinges on the price of oil. And I just hope that builders can stay in business building, because you can't, even if you built the same house, identical house, a year ago, it couldn't be built the same today, just because of prices. And we've got some events coming up. Looks like we've got the Spring Tour of Home coming up. It's going to be by the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. It's going to be April 19th through the 20th, and then 25th to 27th, and May 2nd through the 4th. And they're going to have all the houses, and you can drive around and look at them. And it's a good time to go out and kind of do some shopping. There are going to be some nice houses out there.
Is this one you have to pay for?
No.
Okay, because there are other tour of homes,
yes,
and it costs you money to go in and out of these houses. But these are all brand new houses to walk through.
Right. These are all builders have built them. They've got them all dolled up, and you can see all the vendors will just be displaying their products in them. And you can go out and drive around, and there'll be maps and books coming out. They haven't even started yet, but
that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, it's a great event, and you can actually go out there and get a lot of ideas. Even if you're not interested in buying a home, you can go out there and look and see what's being
they're
built.
always fun.
Yeah, they're just fun to look at and see what the latest trends are.
But you have the tour homes is also giving prices. They tell you exactly what the house as it stands will cost. Mm-hmm. So if they get pre-approved by you, then they can go through these houses and really see what their money's going to buy them.
Correct.
You can even buy that house.
Yeah. They're
all for sale.
We've done it before,
the show.
And we've had houses sold that we put in the tour. They sell before the tour comes along. So it's a great way to get a real feel for your money.
Jennifer, you want to tell us how to get in touch with you again? And
Absolutely.
Who you're with?
I am with First National Bank Mortgage, and you can reach me at 817-596-9800. I'm located off the square on Palo Pinto, right next to First National Bank.
And she is with the First National Bank of Weatherford Mortgage Group. And we will see you next week. We're out of time.
Bye-bye.